Okay. You also mentioned a little bit about morning wood and nocturnal penile tumescence, which is definitely something we've talked about before.
Cool.
Can you go into a bit more detail? How does testosterone trigger this to occur?
Yeah, man. Awesome. Great question. So,
And also, yeah,
yeah,
what may be the difference between that and like us, getting an erection for sex?
right,
What are some of the differences and similarities in the play of testosterone in both?
right. So morning wood is an amazing sign of something. If you're not getting morning wood, right? So let's say you are getting a lot of morning wood, and then something happened in your life, and now you don't have it anymore, right? So I didn't have morning wood for like years, like pretty much all of grad school. I never had morning wood.
Yeah.
My friends had it. They talked about it. They're kind of like, oh man, you should have seen how hard I was. I was like, oh, what the hell's going on? So now the difference is, so many key differences. The first difference is nocturnal penile tumescence, NPT, happens at night during REM sleep, right? REM sleep is when testosterone is actually produced in the Leydig cells, and that specific aspect of erection is dependent on testosterone. It's androgen dependent. Now, the difference between these two is that the sex erection, right, erection from a female and so on, that is more dopamine dependent, right? So a
Hmm.
lot of people confuse this, right? They think testosterone is dependent for all of erection, but not so. The nightly erections that happen during REM sleep, right? That is testosterone dependent, and just the normal erection that is happening in sex, that of course it's aided by testosterone, right? Don't get me wrong here. Like it's
Yeah.
not directly testosterone dependent, it's indirectly testosterone dependent. Why? Because testosterone enables sex drive, and it enables libido, right?
Hmm.
And that is what will cause the interplay with dopamine and the erection to actually happen. Now, the second part of your question is how, right? So essentially what happens is in the brain, there are dopaminergic cells, right? They have dopamine inside in the cell body, right? And as they release dopamine, they bind to what is called an oxytocinergic cell. They have oxytocin inside, right? And a lot of this is in the hypothalamus, which is sort of the arousal, quote unquote, center of the brain, as people say. It's also arousal, thirst, and things like that. So this interplay in the hypothalamus from dopamine to oxytocin enables those oxytocinergic neurons to bind to the spinal cord, right? So it's not just the spinal cord. They go to the spinal cord, they go to the hippocampus, which is in charge of memory and more recent memory and things like that. And they also go to the brainstem. But the specific part of the spinal cord connection is that the spinal cord connection is traveling all the way down to the penile arterioles, right, which is the arteries in the penis, and that connection will release nitrous oxide, and then that will go inside the cell, and then the interplay happens, causing a relaxation of that smooth muscle cell, which leads to erection, right? So
Hmm.
that's sort of how it happens, and all of this is triggered by dopamine because that's the first part of this mechanism, but then the nightly part of it is triggered by testosterone.
Okay. I was not aware of quite the differences in that. That's fascinating.